In the silence of an ancient marketplace, before the world understood wealth the way we do today, a quiet revolution was brewing. No armies, no kings, no battles, only an idea simple, invisible, and powerful enough to shape the destiny of every nation that would come after it. Most people today have never heard this story, and yet it changed the world more than any empire ever did. This is the untold money story they never taught you. It begins thousands of years ago, in a time when trade was built on trust. Merchants traveled across deserts, oceans, and dangerous roads carrying spices, gold, silk, and precious stones. But behind the scenes, fear ruled everything. The fear of theft, the fear of loss, the fear that one violent night on the road could erase everything a person had ever earned. And that's when a strange kind of hero appeared, someone who did not hold a sword but a scale, a goldsmith. These goldsmiths had secure vaults to store their own precious metals. Merchants noticed this and began asking them to store their gold too, just for safety. The goldsmiths agreed and issued each merchant a simple paper receipt or note promising that your gold is safe with me. But then something unexpected happened. These pieces of paper started to travel. Merchants began handing the receipts to other merchants as payment, because everyone trusted the goldsmith's word. Soon, the receipts became more useful than the gold itself. They were easier to carry, easier to trade, harder to steal. Without realizing it, people had created something the world had never seen before: paper money. And this is where the story takes a darker, more mysterious turn. The goldsmiths noticed a pattern. People rarely came to take their gold back. Maybe one or two at a time, but never all at once. And here, in this quiet observation, a dangerous idea was born. What if, the goldsmiths wondered, we issued more receipts than the gold we actually have? No one would know. No one checked. And with that decision, the world's first form of fractional reserve banking began. The goldsmiths issued loans made from gold that didn't exist. They printed wealth out of thin air and charged interest on it. For the first time in history, money itself became an illusion. The merchants felt richer. Businesses expanded. Trade flourished. But beneath this sudden wave of prosperity, a hidden risk was growing. Because if too many people asked for their gold at the same time, the entire system would collapse. And one day, it nearly did. A rumor spread through the town. The goldsmiths don't have enough gold to return to everyone. Fear spread faster than fire. People rushed to the vaults demanding their gold. The goldsmiths panicked, and with trembling hands, they opened the doors. The vaults were almost empty. That was the world's first bank run. And in that moment, humanity realized something shocking. The value of their wealth didn't depend on gold. It depended on trust. But instead of destroying the system, the crash did something extraordinary. It forced leaders, kings, nobles, commons to recognize the power of this new idea. They saw something else too. Whoever controlled this system controlled everything. What happened next would shape the financial world forever. Rulers partnered with the goldsmiths. They turned their private vaults into public institutions. The world's earliest banks were born, protected by the crown, backed by armies, and legitimized by law. In 1609, in Amsterdam, something even bigger happened. A new institution emerged, the Bank of Amsterdam, widely considered one of the first modern banks. Its promise was simple: stability, safety, trust. But behind its walls, more complex mechanisms were forming: ledger systems, standardized money, international transfers. The world of finance was no longer a marketplace, it was a machine. And that machine began to influence everything. Wars were funded not by treasure, but by credit. Nations began borrowing money to build ships, armies, fortresses. The fate of entire empires started depending on the decisions of bankersmen who never stepped onto a battlefield, yet quietly determined who would rise and who would fall. Across Europe, one family saw this shift with extraordinary clarity. The Medici of Florence. They mastered the art of banking, becoming richer than many kings. Their bank invented techniques that defined the modern economy: double entry bookkeeping, bills of exchange, branch networks, they learned how to move money across continents without moving a single coin. But where there is wealth, there is shadow. Banking became the center of power struggles, corruption, secret alliances. Ordinary people were trapped in cycles of debt. Governments grew dependent on loans. Currency became a weapon used to manipulate, dominate, and control. And then came the next turning point. In 1694, England made a historic decision to create the Bank of England, a central bank. For the first time, a government gave a single institution the power to issue money on its behalf. This wasn't just banking anymore. This was the birth of modern financial control. And from that moment on, money stopped being a thing. It became a system, a belief, a story we tell each other every day. Fast forward to the present, and the shadows of those early decisions still follow us. Today, when you swipe a card, tap a phone, or send money online, you're not moving physical currency. You're moving digital promises receipts, just like the ones the ancient goldsmiths issued centuries ago. We live in a world where banks lend money they don't physically have, where governments create currency with keystrokes, where Trustnut Gold holds the entire global economy together. And every time we deposit, borrow, invest, or spend, we participate in a system built on that first daring idea that value can exist even when the wealth isn't physically there. But here's the mystery the world still struggles to face. Is this system brilliance or illusion? Is it humanity's greatest invention or our most dangerous gamble? The truth is, it's both. The first bank changed the world in ways those early goldsmiths could never have imagined. It fueled progress, innovation, and global trade. It helped build nations, industries, and empires. But it also created fragility, inequality, and crises that ripple through our lives even today. And now, as we step deeper into the age of digital currencies, crypto economies, and AI-driven finance, we must ask ourselves, are we building a new system of trust? Or are we repeating history only this time with numbers instead of gold? In the end, the story of money is the story of human psychology, our fears, our dreams, our desires. It is a story shaped not by metal or paper, but by belief. A story that began in a small vault with a simple promise written on a fragile piece of paper. And that story is still being written every time we choose to trust the system that holds our wealth. This is the untold money story. They never taught you a story of risk, power, illusion, and the invisible force that shapes our world. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, hit that subscribe button and join us for more stories that change the way you see everything. See you in the next one.